board to order. We have a quorum present. Mr. Tullis had some family matters he needed to tend to and not able to join us, and we understand that. We have a lengthy agenda, so we want to get to it right away. Most folks know what the board has been engaged in as far as searching for a new superintendent. There's been some discussion, but let me just briefly, very briefly, speak to that. As most people also know, the board voted to retain an outside search firm, Into Learning. That firm was charged with bringing the board at least 3 and no more than 5, maybe 6 candidates to interview. They did that. The board last week spent all day Friday, Saturday, and a large portion of Sunday interviewing 5 candidates. Those candidates were the best of the best of the best, folks. They were incredibly talented, experienced, high character, high integrity, such that truly having to pick just one of them, a significant task for the board. The board discussed it at length, and under the law, before we move forward in any other fashion, the board has to name at least a lone finalist. That is the purpose of this meeting, to meet those legal requirements. So with that said, I'll open the floor and entertain a motion or motions from any board member who wishes to make it for one or more finalists.
But before we do that, if I could just take a quick second, because I really want, you guys weren't there for this process, but I am incredibly appreciative of the conversation that we all had and the way that we worked together on this. These guys are really care about Midway and what's going on here. So you're in good shape, not just with your board, but with the candidate that we're about to name. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Colin. And I would echo that same thing. I know Dr. Lancaster, who was previously a superintendent here, but who was one of the individuals that led the search from our outside search firm. I told him, because he said, when I told him about, the quality and how difficult that makes the decision-making process, he said, well, so I'm sorry to put you through that. I said, no, you don't understand, Brad. I said, that discussion is one of the best discussions this board has ever had. Really good discussion by the board that got us to where I think we are, and we'll find out as soon as somebody makes a motion in a second.
Well, and to piggyback off of that, we got
Just
a
keeping you
great
waiting.
chance to take a deep dive into what other districts are doing. So when we weren't just listening in awe and rapt attention, we were furiously scribbling notes, not just to remind us of what this candidate or that candidate had said, but just to, wow, that I can't, y'all are doing that. Well, Midway should try this, and let's bring all these great ideas to the table. And the decision would have been simple if we could have just rolled all these 5 people into one and brought them as a body to the district. There's some really exciting things going on across the state in education, and just looking forward to seeing how that will impact what we do in the future.
I'll make a motion.
I'm listening, Mr. Green.
I move that we name Dr. Joseph Coburn of Fort Worth ISD the lone finalist for our open superintendent position.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Green, second by Ms. Watts to name Dr. Coburn as our lone finalist. We need to go into closed session to discuss this?
Have we done that already?
Maybe a little.
Please, no.
Please no.
Seeing no one wanting to go into closed session, is there any discussion here in open session? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
100% aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Our lone finalist will be Dr. Joseph Coburn. Before we adjourn, talking with Dr. Coburn last night on the phone, he asked about what the folks wanted to do vis-a-vis talking to people as far as a district visit. I told him I wasn't sure exactly who was going, but wanted whoever it is that's going and who's sort of leading that to be in communication with him in that regard. I know Pam said she definitely wanted to go and was going. I know Rick said he's not.
I'm
you
not
all-
gonna go now.
I could if you need me, but if not, I'm good too.
I'll go.
Okay.
So Jonathan,
So
Brad,
you're-
and-
I'm not going now.
All right.
So
Pam,
Brad's
as
gonna
board
go.
secretary then, will you take charge of coordinating with Dr. Coburn as far as, because I know that Carolyn has said he's got things lined out to be able to do it Wednesday, December 14th.
That's correct.
But in terms of who he should be bringing to the table for the board to meet and talk with, teachers, campus level folks, central office folks, that sort of thing.
Okay.
You know, who does the team want to visit with, right?
Do I
So-
need to decide that right this minute, or
No,
can I
no, no,
talk
no,
with
no,
him and
no,
Carol?
no.
No, we can,
Y'all talk among yourselves.
Sure.
You be the point person to talk with him.
okay,
And, yeah, so that process will run smoothly.
absolutely.
And
Thank
I-
y'all for your willingness to do that.
And I was thinking Dr. Lancaster could probably give her some guidance if she wants to talk to
Sure.
him about who
Absolutely.
you should talk to, or he'd suggest you talk to.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that might be good.
so, anything further?
Do we, I know you said you spoke to him, do we have any sense of a potential start or what that looks like in January? And obviously
Yes.
let the folks know about the next meeting.
He's trying to pin down a definite date in January, but it should be in January. And the discussion I had with him from having met with Dr. K yesterday was that we, the board, George, can cover the January meeting. And happy to have him here if that works for him, but if it doesn't, he doesn't need to feel worried about being here, that we need coverage for that, because we certainly can do that. So he's working on trying to get those details lined out, and we'll know, excuse me, sooner than later. I'm glad you asked that, Colin, because relative to that, my intention is for next Tuesday's regular meeting, for us to go into closed session for a short bit to talk about his contract,
Good.
to make sure that we're all on the same page about some of the key terms of that contract, and then for us to probably, because we can't do anything till the 21 days runs, but probably January 3rd, I'm looking at Tracy, to have another special call board meeting for the board to consider acting upon his contract and approving execution of the contract, and that would be the, you know, whatever the contract date then says as far as the start date, but that would be the opportunity for the board to approve it.
Okay.
All right? All in, all done?
Thank you
Very
all.
good.
Out of agenda.
Thank you all,
Thank you all.
for everybody for their support. We look
Yes.
forward to having Dr. Coburn here,
Yes.
and we are adjourned.
Are you okay with not going?
Yeah, if I'm not going.